here for communion. And oh, how you tell me. Oh, how you tell me that I am your own. Oh, I am your own. Yeah, yeah, yeah. When I declare that you are the head and not the tail, you are above and not beneath, and it doesn't matter what they have called you. I declare that He knows your name. He knows your name. I need somebody to raise up your testimony today, because I declare that He knows who you are. So this is my testimony. No fire can burn me. No battle can turn me. No mountain can stop me. Why? Because you hold my hand. Said I'm walking in God's victory, 'cause His power is within me. No giant can defeat me. Why? Because no fire can burn me. No battle can turn me. No mountain can stop me. Why? Because do you have a testimony today? Said I'm walking in God's victory, 'cause His power is within me. No giant can defeat me. Hold my hand. You know my name. Thank you, Lord. You know my, and you call me beautiful. Say you know my, I'm the head and not the tail. You know my name. Let's raise this up like a mighty choir. Sing, oh, how you walk with me.
She was unable to attend today, and I know that she is in fact very sad that she's not here. Let me welcome the judges of the Supreme Court who are present. I welcome Mrs. Tricia Cameron Angren, Director, CEO of Court Administration. She's just coming in. She apologizes for coming late this morning. The Honorable Mr. Justice Crooks, Chief Judge of the Parish Court. Judges of the Parish Courts, Registrars and Deputy Registrars of the Court of Appeal and Supreme Court, Directors, Managers, Court Operation Managers, Supervisors of the Court of Appeal, Supreme Court, Parish Courts, and Court Administration Division. Mr. Jermaine Johnson, our keynote speaker. He will be formally introduced later. The support team from the Court Administration Division, members of the media, and I know we are live streaming, so let me welcome persons who are live streaming with us. Welcome. Now that I've gone through all that list, I don't think anyone else has to do the long list that I just went through. I apologize, we started a little late today, but it was unavoidable. Let me first start off with the prayer. We will start off the prayer with Mrs. Stacy Ann Brown. Ms. Brown is the Registrar of the Court of Appeal. She's very quiet, but one of the most efficient persons I've ever come across. Okay.
Let us pray. Could we stand? Almighty and Heavenly Father, to you be the glory, all honor and praise. As we meet once more to continue the work of charting the course for the Jamaican judiciary, we come before you with gratitude for all the mercies you have bestowed thus far, both on the judiciary and on us personally. We thank you for the wonderful gains resulting from our accomplishments, and where things may not have gone according to plan, we thank you for the opportunities to learn, review, and rechart. We thank you for the Honorable Chief Justice, the President of the Court of Appeal, the Chief Judge of the Parish Courts, and the Director, CEO of the Court Administration Division, and for the significant work they do individually and collectively to discharge their leadership and decision-making responsibilities within the judiciary. Father, we thank you for the work and contributions of the judiciary team, comprising judges and staff members of the Court of Appeal, the Supreme Court, Parish Courts, and the Court Administration Division, cognizant that each team member plays an extremely important role in achieving the stated mission and vision of the judiciary. As we commence the judiciary's strategic retreat for 2025, we seek your wisdom and insight, which we pray will guide our discussions and give us clarity of thought and understanding. Grant us, O Lord, open hearts and minds to receive your wise counsel. May we each have a willingness to listen to each other and to consider different perspectives which may emerge during the retreat. We pray for productive and insightful sessions during this retreat that will challenge us and direct us as we, as a judiciary, undertake sustainable transformation in court excellence. May you, O Lord, be with us, be before us, be in us, and be over us, so that all that we discuss, decide upon, and do may be to your honor and your glory. This we ask in the name of your Son, our Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Stacey Ann Brown. We then move to Mrs. Trisha Cameron Angren. You know, Mrs. Trisha Cameron Angren, she's the Director and CEO of Court Administration Division. She does everything, from a pin to an anchor. It's not just the actual day-to-day work. When she came the other day and mentioned Judiciary Day, I said, oh, God, what is this new thing she's introducing? But at the end of the day, I'm told that everyone had fun that day. So, with no more speech in before, I'll say no more before Mrs. Cameron Angren comes to give her speech. Thank you. Her greetings.
Thank you, Justice Shelley Williams. I will be adopting the protocols that have been so ably established. And before I get into my introduction, for those of you who know me well, maybe this is your first retreat, I would like you to turn to your neighbor. No, we're not in church. And welcome your neighbor to Retreat 2025. Yeah, man. Welcome to Retreat 2025. Yes. Yes, we are given to associating with starchiness sometimes, especially when we come into new settings. This year we decided to take you to a different venue, and of course you have more space for us to laugh, for us to learn, and for us to grow. So it is a distinct honor to bring greetings this morning on behalf of the Court Administration Division of the Judiciary of Jamaica, as we open the 6th annual Strategic Management Retreat under the inspiring theme, Justice Reimagined, Building Capacity, Refining Systems, Transforming the Judiciary. This retreat remains one of the most significant gatherings on our judicial calendar, an occasion to reflect critically, recalibrate purposefully, and realign ourselves with the mission and vision that guide our service. Our current strategic business plan, benchmarking the future and consolidating excellence, provides both direction and a challenge. It reminds us that transformation is not a future aspiration, but a present undertaking. It calls us to measure our work against the highest global standards while consolidating the hard-won gains of recent years. The value of the retreat. A forum such as this one is more than a pause from the routine of court administration and adjudication. It is a structured opportunity to reset, refocus, and re-energize. Say reset. Say refocus. Say re-energize. That's what we're here to do. It's stepping back from the daily demands we gain, the perspective necessary to sharpen our vision of the delivering of justice in a timely, transparent, and accessible manner to all Jamaicans. What's our thematic focus for this week? This year's theme aligns seamlessly with our strategic plan. Let's talk about building capacity. This speaks to the strengthening of our human capital, judges, administrators, and court staff, recognizing that transformation depends on people who are skilled, people who are motivated, and people who are resilient. The second thematic focus is on refining systems. Refining systems compels us to streamline processes, embrace digital solutions, and embed accountability. So efficiency in justice delivery is not optional. It is essential to public trust. And our third thematic focus is transforming the judiciary, and this challenges us to think beyond incremental adjustments. What is required is reimagining and a reimagining of how courts serve society in the 21st century, delivering justice that is not only fair, but also accessible, modern, and responsive. The role of the CAD as the administrative arm of the judiciary, our responsibility is to create the platform upon which judicial excellence stands. And so this requires prudent management of our resources, continuous innovation in service delivery, improved data and records management practices for informed decision making, and ensuring that every policy and every system directly supports effective dispensation of justice. Transformation, however, is not achieved, Chief Justice, in a single leap. It is realized, team, step by step, project by project, case by case, through deliberate collaboration among judges, staff, sector partners, and our society at large. And as I speak to engagement and collaboration, this retreat has been intentionally designed to strengthen both individual and institutional capacity. So plenary sessions will expose us to fresh perspectives on leadership and resilience. Breakout sessions for the first time this year will sharpen our skills in strategic planning, culture transformation, and people management, equipping us to cascade these competencies through our courts and our divisions. We will also celebrate excellence at our rewards and recognition banquet, not only to honor outstanding performers, but also to reinforce a culture of fellowship, appreciation, and shared purpose within this judiciary. As we embark on this retreat, I encourage each of us to engage with courage, engage with creativity, and engage with commitment. Let us use this space to challenge assumptions, refine bold ideas, and generate actionable strategies. Ultimately, our success will not be measured by the plans we produce or the discussions we hold, but by the lived reality of Jamaicans who turn up in our courts every single day seeking justice. So on behalf of the Court Administration Division, I extend warm greetings and best wishes for a productive and inspiring retreat. May this gathering mark yet another milestone in our journey of benchmarking the future. consolidating excellence, and I'll add reimagining justice for Jamaica land we love. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Tricia Cameron Angren. We will then go to the greetings for His Honor, Mr. Chester Crooks. I think I always get his title wrong, or I won't say anything else. So, he's the Chief Judge of the Parish Courts.
Need this. Good morning, all. Please allow me to adopt the protocols so ably established by Madam Moderator. I think a little bit earlier, much to the amusement and understanding of my colleagues, I was introduced as His Honor, Mrs. Justice Chester Crooks. Somehow, I think, in keeping with the theme of transforming judiciary, I am not entirely sure that's what the chief had in mind. But in these gender fluid times, who knows? And at the end of the day, I'll just blame my feminine good looks. The beard notwithstanding, obviously not working for me. Good morning, distinguished guests, colleagues, and friends. As always, it is my distinct honor and pleasure to extend warm greetings and welcome you to the 6th Annual Strategic Management Retreat, held under the inspiring theme, Justice Reimagined, Building Capacity, Refining Systems, Transforming the Judiciary. This retreat is both a celebration of our progress and a reaffirmation of our commitment to shaping a justice system that is modern, efficient, and people-focused. Over the past year, our work to build capacity has been both deliberate and far-reaching. Training initiatives have been rolled out not only for our judges, court operation managers, and other frontline court staff, but extended all the way through our court family, reaching even our groundsmen, or as we call them now, our court maintenance officers. Because every member of the judiciary has a role to play in delivering quality justice services. We are also advancing critical reforms to strengthen our legal framework. Work is now far advanced on the development of the new parish court rules, which will modernize procedures, improve case management, and ensure that our courts operate with greater efficiency and fairness. With the differentiated case management system now fully implemented across all our courts, we are not only streamlining the flow of cases, but also fostering greater accountability, predictability, and proactive oversight from filing to final disposition. By aligning timelines and procedures with the complexity of each matter, we have maximized the efficient use of judicial time, minimize unnecessary delays, and hopefully bolstering public confidence in the court system, an ongoing process. At the same time, we continue to refine our systems aligned with international best practices, including our determined effort to achieve ISO certification, a process that underscores our dedication to transparency, accountability, and continuous improvement. I extend my deepest thanks to the organizers of this retreat for their tireless efforts, to all participants for your engagement, and to our distinguished guests for your support and presence. As we gather for this 6th Annual Strategic Management Retreat, let us reimagine justice as a living, evolving system, strengthened by capacity building at every level, guided by refined systems, and transformed by our shared vision for a judiciary that serves with integrity, efficiency, and fairness. Thank you all, and I wish you a productive and inspiring retreat. And as always, it remains one of the greatest honor of my professional and personal life to be able to count myself as one amongst you. Thank you.
Thank you, His Honor, Mr. Chester Crooks. Let's go to the greetings now from the Honorable Mr. Justice David Fraser, CD. He is always such a charming gentleman, and I think that's one of the reasons why the President asked him to present on her behalf.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. If I seem particularly rosy this morning, it's because I'm ensconced behind that wonderful arrangement of roses. I gratefully adopt the protocol established by the chairman and just say, colleagues all. Before the summer of 2018, we were hardworking, but not sufficiently smart working. By now, we all know the rich benefits of strategic planning. However, their vital importance commends reinforcement. Strategic planning establishes a vision, clarifies our mission, provides direction, guides decisions, and helps resource focus on the most important tasks. It involves anticipating and preparing for opportunities and challenges alike. It enables adaptations to change in response to dynamic environments. In sum, it provides the framework for effective teamwork to achieve what we exist to do it well, and to keep improving at so doing. Our cycle of continuous improvement is achieved by ongoing strategic alignment throughout the different levels of the judiciary. In this process, it is critical that courts at each level maintain fidelity to their role. At the Court of Appeal, we recognize that clear, timely rulings provide guidance to and empower lower courts' accurate interpretation and application of the law. To that end, we are pleased that we ended 2024 with a clearance rate of 102%. Though lower than the record almost 118% of 2023, it still reflects a case backlog reduction. The fall in the clearance rate was largely due to fewer court sittings during the Michaelmas term to allow judges more time to clear reserved judgments. That initiative bore spectacular fruit. Last year's judgment delivery rate was 560%. That is, for every 10 newly reserved judgments, approximately 56 judgments were delivered. And yes, you can applaud again. Other positive metrics included a hearing date certainty of 86.1%, a 1.08% increase over 2023, and a decrease of 5.88% in the number of outstanding judgments compared to 2023. Now, it's interesting the way we use the word outstanding, because we don't want to have too many judgments that are reserved for delivery. But once they're delivered, we want them to be outstanding. Speaking of outstanding, I'm not sure why one of my colleagues gave me this little thing she picked up in a pharmacy, I believe. It says, I'm going to stand outside, so if anyone asks, I'm outstanding. Importantly also, there was a 6.42% increase in the use of endorsements over 2023, reflecting increased implementation of the case management strategy to utilize shorter case disposal methods where appropriate. A strategy that will be supported by the use, when completed, of standard legal summaries on areas of criminal law that commonly arise. All initiatives aimed at increasing timely quality output. Our enhanced work output has not, however, been achieved in a vacuum. We have reaped good success through the pursuit of our holistic mission, and I quote, "to serve all stakeholders with integrity and fairness by delivering sound, timely judgments and efficient court services in a healthy and fulfilling work environment." Our experience: satisfied internal stakeholders motivates service that satisfies external stakeholders. 5 standing committees have been key contributors to the successful implementation of our plan. Social Affairs, champion of our now established vibrant, inclusive, family-like structure. Occupational Safety and Health, ensuring a healthy environment and promoting personal healthy lifestyles. And we have the chair of the committee here, Mr. Adriel Williams, our Deputy Registrar. The ICT Improvement Team, including members of the Court Administration Division's IT team, that helps us to work towards having adequate, appropriate, and functional technology. Budget, promoting optimum deployment and use of available funding. And rewards and recognition, acknowledging good work and encouraging teamwork. Outside of committee activities, other initiatives include ongoing community outreach, differentiated case management as part of our backlog reduction strategy, and implementing recommendations from the staff satisfaction survey. Heartiest commendations to our strategic planning team, which I am privileged to lead, with the leave, full membership, and sterling support of the President. And I'm honored that she has asked me to deliver these remarks on her behalf. I recognize 2 other members of the team who are with us today. Our tireless registrar, who led us to the throne of grace, Mrs. Stacey Ann Brown, and Mr. Adriel Williams, who I earlier mentioned. Special mention must, however, be also made of the Honorable Mrs. Justice Foster Pusey, CD Judge of Appeal, who is the only other Judge of Appeal apart from myself, who has been involved in our strategic planning from the very beginning. She currently has oversight responsibility for the registry, the engine of our court operations. Commendations also to the other Judges of Appeal and staff who have all embraced our plan. As a whole judiciary, together we continue our progress. This year's planning theme, as has been mentioned more than once, is Justice Reimagined, building capacity, refining systems, transforming the judiciary. The world is abuzz with fast-paced changes occasioned by artificial intelligence in every sector. In the judiciary, we await the promulgation of guidelines currently under review, speaking to its use. We will all do well, however, to remember that wherever burgeoning technology takes us, as individuals, we each retain responsibility for the content of output that bears our name, whether in our work or private lives. As we reimagine, refine, and transform, significant time will need to be devoted to processes intrinsic to those outcomes. The full implementation of the employee performance management system promises a new collaborative approach to the development of work plans, target setting, and employee development through performance coaching. The road to ISO 9001 certification is arduous. However, as we map, document, and transform our processes along the journey, a streamlined reality should emerge, one better placed to maximize benefits while minimizing challenges associated with AI integration in service delivery. Fresh energy will be devoted to our e-filing pilot as a wider cross-section of legal practitioners engage in the program. The docket system will continue to be tested during designated court terms to assess its suitability for our appellate jurisdiction. Through all efforts, as we invest in human capital, optimize judicial processes, leverage digital innovation, and enhance institutional resilience, we should all keep our focus on the realities and needs of both our internal and external stakeholders. Improving their satisfaction is the ultimate measure of how well we are actually consolidating excellence as we benchmark the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, the Honorable Mr. Justice David Fraser. We will then go now to the remarks of the Honorable Mr. Justice Brian Sykes, OJCD, one of the hardest working Chief Justices I have ever known. And as senior puny, I can assure you that if you think you work hard, you should wake up every single morning with 12 WhatsApp messages from the chief that he sends at 2 o'clock in the morning, and 12 emails that he sends at 3 o'clock in the morning. And I have reached a stage now where I don't think I have to respond to them as soon as he sends them. When I get up, then I respond to them. But he's one of the hardest Chief Justices, so let's welcome the Chief Justice, Brian Sykes.
Right, thank you very much, Justice Shelley Williams. Good morning, all. So I will adopt the order of protocol established. Of course, you know that today is nomination day, so the minister is, or the former minister, is now going to hand in his papers to be re-elected as a member of parliament. And next week or the week after, some of you in this room will determine the outcome of the election. So I urge all of you to go out and vote and make your contribution to vibrant democracy. So let me begin by thanking the Court Administration Division for bringing us to this beautiful environment. I think they deserve a round of applause here for this. And as you might have observed, we are getting better and better at this. We now have our logo in place, and thanks to Mrs. Cameron Anglin for that. And what you are seeing is really the outcome of the integration between the two sides of running a court. Because we now know with absolute certainty that running a court has two dimensions to it. There is a legal judicial side in terms of adjudication, and there is the administrative component. And in the past, not unique to us, but judiciaries generally did not deal with the administrative component of the courts. So think of where we were in 2018 when we began at Eden Gardens with Mr. Sean Gray speaking to us about strategic planning and the look of bewilderment on the faces then, and think of where we are now. And we have certainly come a long way. We didn't know about a procurement plan. We didn't know about proper budgeting, budget utilization, but now we understand these things. And the critical person in all of this is Ms. Marsha Grant. Where is she? I don't know where she is, but she's outside, but she has added significant value. The Justice Fraser is saying that she is outstanding. but she has added significant value to the court since her arrival, was it 2 years ago? 2 years ago, it seems as if she has been here a lifetime, but such has been the impact that she has had on our operations. So we wish to thank her for that contribution there. You also notice that in terms of the technology, the ICT team, they have improved in leaps and bounds. You would have observed. So we recognize them. You will also notice too that the protocol department, they have improved significantly. And so what you're seeing is all-round improvement in the operations of the court administration division. You will hear perhaps later on that we received an A rating from the Ministry of Finance and Planning concerning the appropriation accounts. So something that we didn't think that was possible, but it is now there. So we're one of the better operating arms of government when it comes to the utilization of our budget and preparing our accounts. So all those are very significant achievements. You'll hear further on about the take-up concerning the use of electronic payment systems in the courts. What is also happening in our courts is the increased use of the technology, and by that I mean attorneys at law, litigants. In fact, there was a gentleman who spoke to a friend who is a friend of my wife, and he was saying that he was in hospital in the state of Florida and was still able to participate in the court proceedings via Zoom and Teams. Now that's a very significant development because you're really talking about access to justice in a very fundamental way. You have attorneys at law who, by marriage and other circumstances, they're now living outside of Jamaica and have been, but they are still able to maintain their full practice here. So that is where we have come since 2018. As you may be aware, we are members of the International Consortium for Court Excellence. This is the only international body dedicated to bringing like-minded organizations and courts who are committed to improving court administration. And it is committed to developing and maintaining a framework of values, concepts, and tools by which courts worldwide can voluntarily assess and improve the quality of justice and court administration that they deliver. So they have 7 areas of court excellence which we have mirrored in our strategic plan: court leadership and management, court planning and policies, court resources, that is human, material, and financial, court proceedings and processes, client needs and satisfaction, affordable and accessible court services, public trust and confidence. And so as time goes on, when we speak about client needs and satisfaction, technology has now placed us in a position to have surveys. And so we'll be doing that going forward to all of our courts. We'll be doing surveys with the court users because we may think we are serving them well enough. And we may think we're doing a wonderful job, but we need to hear from the end users. And yes, it includes defendants in criminal cases because they are, on the criminal side, an important stakeholder in the process. Because at the very least, they want to know, one, that they won't be in custody for extended periods of time, and that the trial processes will be fair and impartial and give them a reasonable opportunity to meet the case against them. So we'll have to hear from them as well. It is also part of the idea that, how do I put this now? Increasingly in the 20th century, latter part of the 20th century, coming into the 21st century, one of the occupational groups that did not traditionally come under scrutiny except insofar as it dealt with delays of judgment is judges. And so what you find increasingly is that the performance of judges is coming up for scrutiny globally. And what is meant by that? You have the basic things: you turn up on time, you deliver the judgments, and so on. But people are now looking at the quality of the judgments, and they actually have developed criteria for this. They look at how the judge conducts the court. They look at how the judge communicates with the different persons who come into court. And at the end of the day, do the persons feel that they were respected, that they were treated properly and fairly? Critically, they understood the proceedings, and if the matter was not disposed of on that day, do they know when the next date is and why they are coming back and what is supposed to happen on the next occasion? So those are things now that people are using to measure the quality of delivery of justice. So while disposal rates are important, but also the way in which it is done is also important. You have increasingly in the measure of court performance this expression now called therapeutic justice, used primarily in relation to family courts and drug courts, where the idea is not so much that you are going to enforce and punish and imprison and fine, but really to help individuals in crisis to get themselves back on track and to resume, certainly in the case of the drug court, useful and productive lives, and certainly in respect of the family court, to have less stress, less friction, and so the families, even if they don't get back together, can function with some degree of harmony to discharge important responsibilities that families have. So those are ideas now that are coming into the assessment of courts. There's also the idea now of performance measures. This is where the global measurement of the performance of courts, I won't say it's universal, but it's a growing movement. And this is why we keep data. This is why we analyze data to determine, are we meeting our constitutional responsibility? Because one of the constitutional responsibilities is to dispose of the cases within a reasonable time. That is why we have time standards. So it's not just a concern for the Chief Justice or for the leadership of the court. It is that the citizens have a broader interest in it in terms of how long will their matters take. And there is an increasing body of literature that is examining the relationship between the efficiency of courts, economic growth, and even interest rates that they can borrow money. So the idea is that the more inefficient a court system is, the more difficulty the lender will have to recover money should it become necessary through court action. And consequently, the question then arises, how should that risk be quantified and how is it going to be reflected? And some have said that is actually reflected in the interest rate at which the borrower gets the money from the lender. So the point is, inefficient courts can have a deleterious effect on economic activity and on businesses. When you look at personal injury claims, persons who have received very serious injury are deprived of compensation for extended periods. But critically, the defendants, their damages go up because of the length of time, because they have to pay now from a longer period of time than they would have had to pay had the court system been more efficient. And so that is why we keep the data, that is why we analyze it, and that is why we place a lot of emphasis on court leadership and management. And without getting into the details, the data analyzed can actually demonstrate empirically the impact of leadership on a court, believe it or not. So when we look at the movement of judges, especially at the parish court level, you can actually see almost a direct correlation between who is the senior judge at the court and the performance of the court is actually reflected in the data, emphasizing the importance of leadership on the ground in the parish courts. It is also reflected too at the circuit court level, where when judges go out on circuit, you can literally now predict what the likely productivity on that particular circuit is likely to be. And within the Supreme Court, I suppose I'd have to have this discussion with my colleagues at the Supreme Court, but the staff within the registry, when they get the court list, they can actually tell you this court will be finished by 11, this one go up to 1, this court is going to go up to 4, this one will go up to 6. They can literally do that with a high degree of probability and accuracy. So the point is that leadership both at the personal level and at the institutional level can actually be measured. So this is why you have a measure such as what is it now called? The Judicial Flexibility Index, which is a polite way of saying, can we measure the likelihood of an adjournment by a particular judge or a particular court? Yes, persons can actually measure these things because human beings are in fact creatures of habit. You do what you are. And so it can actually be measured, and scholars have actually measured these things. And one of the important things that has come out of the study of courts, while it is true that you need a minimum level of resources, human material and so on, there's an increasing recognition that the efficiency of courts is not so much tied to the amount of resources as it is to the performance and the behavior of judicial officers. And so the point is that judicial officers have ultimately the greatest impact on the performance of courts. So our strategic planning session then is to get us to think more deeply about these things and how we are going to improve our efficiency, not for the sake of numbers, but also for service delivery, so that persons can predict with reasonable accuracy how long the matters will take and consequently how much money they will have to expend. One of the things that we must be sensitive to, and persons have, I won't say written, but they have communicated with me about this, is that you have some litigants, particularly in commercial and family matters, they use the court system as a weapon. So what they do is that they try to exhaust the resources of the person on the other side. And so we have to be particularly sensitive to this. So I was told recently of a situation in which the wife was complaining to a matter in the Supreme Court that her husband said he's going to use his lawyer to drag out the matter because he knows that she's going to fold up tent at some point soon. So when we talk about unnecessary adjournments, this is what it does. So this is the untold story. So when you look at the file, you will see proper form was followed. The matter was filed, it was served, appeared before the judge. Adjournments were granted apparently for a good reason, but behind that now, there is the story of tremendous injustice being done by the person with more financial resources. And so we always have to be alert to that. And that's another reason why time standards are important, so that litigants who really don't have deep pockets can say, okay, barring extraordinary circumstances, this case should finish by this time. because it ultimately translates into an access to justice issue. And let us come back now to my best example of how internal inefficiencies can affect justice, Adija Palmer. So here we have a case in which no court has said that the evidence could not sustain the conviction. No court has said that. But the case went down because of internal inefficiency. That's what happened, you know. So what we have is a gentleman, the deceased. I don't know how many of you have read the case, but it really makes this he's just literally beaten to death by his attackers. And the family did what they were supposed to do. The police did what they were supposed to do. The forensic services did what they were supposed to do. Matter came to court. Judicial error occurred. But had our internal processes been what it ought to be, in all probability, there would have been a retrial. So what we have is that Mr. Palmer and his co-defendants are happy, as they ought to be, because it took a very long time. But what about the family of the deceased? They can't say that the justice system worked for them. And it can't be that a litigant, a witness, the police, the forensic services, they do the prosecution, they do their jobs, and because of our internal inefficiency, a man who should really be sitting down behind bars is now free as a bird, entertaining countless millions of persons, and the family of the deceased don't even have the satisfaction of saying, well, at least someone was convicted for the murder of their son, their father, their uncle, or whatever other role he may have had in that particular family structure. And that is why time standards matter. So the Adija Palmer case is an extreme case. But nonetheless, it has actually happened. And so for those of us in the trial courts, one of the important lessons, if you look at the decisions coming out of the Court of Appeal, particularly on the criminal side, you see increasingly the complaint, and which the Court of Appeal is responding to, that because of the delay, these distressing things are happening to me. And so the Court of Appeal has responded now by reducing the sentence and so on and so forth. But again, and that's fine, I have no problem with that. But you have to think now about those who turned up and gave evidence, sometimes at serious risk to life and limb. And then now when they read about this in the newspaper, they say, but is what kind of system this? Imagine me go to court now, I hide from all sorts of persons, and the man only get this. So those are the things now that undermine public trust and confidence. So you can, in fact, follow the law, but people don't have confidence in it because it takes too long. So when we come here then and we plan, it is really not a week of relaxation. It's a week where we give serious thought to how we do what we do. And when we return, we should return with a commitment to improve service delivery to our citizens, keeping adjournments to a minimum. Only necessary adjournments should be granted. I received a letter from a lady in another family matter. What is she saying? She is saying, Chief Justice, I have been in this family court matter from 2021. Custody of a child. When the case started, the child was 4 years old. The child is now 8, and the case don't finish yet. And what she's saying is, I don't know if I can continue going to court anymore. It's just costing me too much. The cost is emotional and it's financial. So in other words, she's about to say, I am done with this. And she says that the gentleman and his lawyer don't seem to turn up. And they keep getting adjournments. The lawyer says him in circuit court, him in court of appeal, him is here, there, and everywhere. And she is saying, but something must be wrong with a system like this. That I have to turn up. The man and his lawyer don't turn up. And 4 years later, I'm still at the same position as I was in 2021. So, again, you look at the record, and it will show you that the legal form was followed. But is justice really being done? So, what is her perception? So, think of her neighbor who will come to her and say, boy, you know, I have a matter put before the court, you know. What do you think she's going to say? You don't have to wonder what she's going to say. And then now, we have our unsavory rivals, competitors, in a sense. They're in many of our communities. Some are euphemistically called community leaders. And so, these persons now, what is it that they offer? No lawyers, no disclosure, no appeals. Issue is resolved in a matter of minutes with a phone call and so on. So, alternate means of resolving the issue. So if we're talking about building a rule-based society, our courts have to take on board measurement, performance management, because it is saying to our citizens, we are committed to a particular standard in terms of time, in terms of quality. And we're inviting you to participate in the process and leave those who provide alternate services out of the picture. So this is why we come here every year for the last 6 years to plan. And what of the future? So for those of you who received my email concerning ChatGPT and what it did with Turnbull. So it is now saying to us that this technology has to be understood and properly utilized. So what we are now doing in the Supreme Court, we are working with probate and the family divisions to develop a program generated by AI to check the petitions. Right? That's what we are doing. The technology has improved a lot over the last 3 years, and it is extraordinarily reliable and accurate. So whereas 5 years ago, you need the persons to check these things by reading through, 5 years later, it is not the best use of human resources. So AI is here to stay. It's not going anywhere. It is increasingly embedded in our lives. All of you receive emails and all of you will see that it reads the email, and then when you're about to reply, it gives you a menu option at the bottom there to tell how you are going to respond to this particular email. One of the most striking applications, I think, certainly in the Court of Appeal, is in relation to cases dealing with identification. The cases from the gun court in particular, I would say perhaps 90%, over 90% of gun court trials, the issue is identification. We now have, goodness, innumerable examples of what is good, what is bad, what the summations are to look like, and so on. AI can now process that in quite literally seconds, because it's essentially pattern recognition. So we now know what Turnbull says, so you can actually train it now to, you have the Turnbull standard, you have what the evidence is, you have what the judge ought to be saying. And so you can process the appeals now much, much faster. Of course, you still have to check to ensure that it is accurate, but that's the potential of it to reduce time and improve efficiency. Think of spirit license applications and all the applications within the courts, within the family courts. And because of this ability to process faster and more accurately, we are going to have, I can see this debate coming. Paralegals are providing all sorts of services now. And I know that the day is going to come when somebody is going to come to court to argue, perhaps the GLC, to argue that these persons are practicing law. And they are going to be saying, I am not practicing law. What I am doing is assisting persons to complete the documentation to place before the court. So that is where we are. And once these persons come to grips with artificial intelligence, it means that lawyers will be under siege in terms of their earnings, because the family and probate division, they spend too much time preparing requisitions. I think we have, 85 requisitions per 100 files. That's a lot of time wasted to correct things that really ought to be done properly from the outset. So this is the kind of impact that it's going to have at the parish court level. It's going to have an impact in this way. Most of the claims are now standard claims. I mean, the parish courts have been around 100 years now, 100 plus years. So we know what the most common claims are. So some enterprising person out there, if they haven't started already, they're going to start collecting standard wording on their computers. And they're going to be sitting outside the courts. And when somebody comes and says, well, I want to sue the person for so and so, he says, all right, open the file, extract the wording, you just put in the name, what the person name, where they live, how much money it is, and so on, and they are ready to go. So that is where the technology is. And last 2 points I'll mention is in relation to Google and to Amazon. 1994, Google, 1995, Amazon. So where are we now? We, at least those of us over 50, we're the last generation in Jamaica that will know a world before the internet and before Google. So anybody who is 20 years, 25, 30, they will not know a time when there was no internet. So it tells us that increasingly the persons that we serve are going to be demanding interaction with the courts using current appropriate technology. They can't see why they should physically come to the court to prepare a document, to file the document, and so on. And so that is why we talk about reimagining justice. Reimagine now to a day in which you come to the court and you might just see the court staff and perhaps a couple of people inside the court building. because there will no longer be any need to physically come to the court. So that is where we are heading. So don't be afraid of the future. Well, the future is now here. And I know that this week then will be a wonderful, productive week. And so, as Professor Suskind tells us, a court, misquoting him now, is really becoming a service and not a place. That is really what reimagining justice is all about. And persons can access court at any hour of day or night at their own choosing to receive justice. So thank you all for coming. And I know that this week will be a very productive week from what we have lined up. Have a good day.
Thank you very much, Chief Justice. You know, when the Chief Justice was saying persons over 50, he then turned and looked at me, and for the life of me, I can't understand why. Oh, I hope. Thank you very much. Let me just say, before we go on much further, today is Her Honor, Mrs. Justice Carol Hughes' birthday. So, could we just give a round of applause to her? And I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day. I will just say, we are closing off the morning session, and we're keeping to our time periods. I will just say I agree with the Chief Justice and the President of the Court of Appeal that we have to consider who we are dealing with. It's good to have statistics, but sometimes you have to remember who you're dealing with and who you're supposed to be serving. And I can tell you, as the Chief Justice had indicated, that word does go around. I was in St. Anne Circuit, and we did quite a bit of cases, and we had to call in some probation officers from another parish, I think 2 other parishes, to assist in producing the social inquiry report. And when I went to St. Mary, Chief, one of the first questions asked of me is that, will we require in St. Anne and somebody else's probation officer for this period? And I said, what, why? I said, well, you know, we had complaints from St. Anne, so we want to be prepared. So word does get around. So thank you very much for all of you for attending the morning session. We're wrapping up now. We're keeping strictly to time. Strictly to time. We're going to have a break between 10:30 and 11. Luckily, we made up some time in relation to the morning session. After we come back, we'll have an introduction of the guest speaker. Her Honor, Mrs. Fairclough Hilton will be dealing with that. And then we go straight to the keynote speaker, which we are all looking forward to, building a first-class judiciary, the role of visionary leadership. So thank you very much. We'll break now. Go and have some coffee, go have some tea, not too much food, so that when we come back after break, people are going to be sleeping. Thank you very much.